Chapter 8, Social Games. Social games are any kind of game that pits players against each other or requires two or more people to cooperate towards an end goal. So social games where you're playing against another player. But now recently, think of social, you're probably thinking social media, social networks. The term focuses on games that utilize social media to connect players. These games, these social games that utilize social media, they fill a niche and that has gone untapped by designers and players, but more recently they continue to evolve. When we say games, don't think of just video games, just games in general, board games, card games. They are social. Almost all games, such as the board games and card games that I mentioned, required interaction of two or more people. But now that physical games have moved to the digital world, it's become more common to play against the game itself. I mean, although it's still played in a group setting when you say play a certain game with a group of people, the social aspect has been removed. And it's kind of created this assumption that most players spend hours or days playing in their room, doors closed, lights off, and you're just staring at a TV screen. That you're no longer playing against another person, you're just playing against a computer. So that's kind of the assumption of when games move from physical to digital. And this is just a definition of social games, as I mentioned before. Social games referring to games that make use of social media constructs to pit players against one another, to make them dependent on each other, and encourage new players to join the game. Now, with the internet and social games, as internet access became more widespread, game developers began to take advantage of it. All right, take advantage of this new connectivity. We have now public leaderboards. We have multiplayer capacities such as real-time voice chat, and this note of achievements. This real-time voice chat and achievements were when these games were quote-unquote re-socialized. This is what came out of it. You can chat with one another, and achievements that are challenges set by the developer that when you met them, they appear on your profile, and players at the same time can compare your game stats. So kind of re-socialized digital games. I can see your score, I can talk to you. But these types of games were more popular against gamers than the general population. Those, when we say gamers, those who are really intense in their game than just the casual gamer. But around 2002, they started to get more socialized. Social media and social games, around 2005, now we're accelerating 3 years, social media begins to take off. We had Friendster, led to MySpace, which now led to Facebook and Twitter. Game developers take advantage of this quote-unquote cocktail party social settings. Mark Pincus is noted as saying, and I quote, "The ultimate thing you can do once you bring all your friends and their friends together is to play games." So there's kind of this big party of people playing games. And developers began to take advantage of the social media and having everyone in one space playing a game. Social design. There are distinct features that come together to make a game quote-unquote social than just casual. All right? We're focusing on these social games that include social media, include the internet. Think of your multiplayer games. These social game elements include the following, and they're coming up, and we're going to go through each one. Most social games have 3 of these elements, and they will adopt more as the game is updated and is evolved over time. And we're going to go into these elements now. So, first thing a social game has is asynchronous gameplay. Alright, just to note the difference between asynchronous and synchronous. Synchronous games are games that are played in real time where all the parties have to interact together. Whereas asynchronous, and think of synchronous games as when all parties interacting together, think of, say, Call of Duty multiplayer. But social games, asynchronous games, are games that do not require both players at the same time. All right, social games tend to have more that asynchronous games. Think of Words with Friends, and game moves forward with the input of either player. Right, the outcome is dependent on direct interaction, so you're taking turns. That's how the outcome is dependent. It frees players up to play at their own pace. You don't have to be all at one place and you spawn after 5 seconds. You have to then play. You can play at your own pace. Depends on how available you are, whether you're free to, or not to play. Draw something is another example. So asynchronous gameplay is an element of social games, making it more social than just casual. Community. So with social games, you create this own community. All right. In the past, games have to build its own community, but now with social media and the internet, the community is pre-existing. You have games that are tied to Facebook, and by that, if I'm a player and I have a Facebook and the game is connected with Facebook, I'm providing the community for the developers. You can bring in friends who can recommend the game. You can include high scores and achievements. And I can also play anonymous pickup games with people outside of my social circle. So if I don't want to bombard people and my friends say on Facebook with game requests, I can play outside of my friends list. And there I'm still bringing in more people and expanding this community. No longer do you have to spread your game through word of mouth and through forums and websites that are dedicated to the product. With social games, you have a community in your social networks. We are going to complete this tutorial. A social game also has what's called endless play. Endless play is where there's no overall win or lose. The game is constructed as a series of never-ending smaller quests or missions that players can continue to work through as long as their attention is held. This can be a double-edged design issue because there's no win or lose and you just continue going on. You gotta hold the player's attention. So developers need to have a good amount of massive content, a lot of content up front, and continuously push changes and have new content so the players keep coming back for more. This is kind of termed as the quote-unquote feed the beast design style, where the player is being satisfied by a steady stream of new content and small victories rather than the difficulty associated with any given task or level. You keep feeding and feeding and feeding the gamer. Social games also has what's called virtual currency, which is currency within the game composed of bits and bytes. This is this fake currency to buy greater skill or different weapons. Virtual currency or VC can be bought with real-world money and earned through dedication or cleverness. So I can buy VC, or if I click a bunch of ads, I can earn more VC. Or if I play the game for so many hours, I can earn VC that way. Many players will pay for a virtual good that will give them powers or upgrades. All right, maybe some of you have bought some virtual currency. I'm thinking the NBA 2K series as one. Social games also has reciprocity, which means players are encouraged to help one another out, either by gifting in-game goods to one another. It's kind of this whole you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. I'm reciprocating. I am gifting players. So for an example, you may get a request on Facebook that you'll get a power-up if you join this new game thanks to your friend. All right, that's the gifting terms. This provides developers with the benefit of drawing in new players. And by doing this, you can also quote-unquote guilt friends into playing or coming back. If you keep bombarding them with messages that, oh, you're getting new skills and new weapons, your friends start feeling guilty and then they'll go ahead and try the game, which as a developer, you have more people playing your game. That works for you. Social games also has what's called drop in and drop out, which where you can pause the game at a moment's notice and pick up again pretty close to where you left off. This allows the game to be broken into small, easy to play levels. This is not quitting. You're not, say, closing your social game or closing your app. You're just pausing it and, say, going to another screen. All right, but if I want to go back to the game, I can go back and resume exactly where I left off. We're just pausing. Social games, last two, also have buyouts, which is the option that allows a player with more money than time to pay a fee to be a superhero or to buy a sword, get an extra life. This includes paywalls, which at a certain point in a game, the player cannot progress any further without the purchase of a specific good. Alright, social games can include these paywalls, and people will buy to get past that certain paywall. You can also have what's called soft paywalls, which are ways to get around the paywall. So instead of playing, maybe a player can watch 2 ads and they'll be able to move on. Or if you pause for a day and come back tomorrow, you'll get past that paywall. Alright, so these social games have these buyouts. And lastly, with social games, okay, obviously advertising. Alright, if the game is free to play, usually I have a higher tolerance for advertising. Gamers are okay with the extra ads that come on the game. Now there are 3 main types of advertisements. First one are banner ads. They pop up at the top or bottom of a game or an app. Second one is offer walls, which are pop-ups that show up at key points that offers to award players coins or points in exchange for trying out other goods or services. So I might get an ad that says if you visit this website, you may get a extra point or extra coins, and then you go to the website and come back to the game and you kind of were able to get that extra skill or extra points. And the last one is tutorial ads, which are ads shown to players while the game is loading a new level, usually in the form of video ads. Kind of think of this as Pandora, the music app, since I played a lot in class. As you go to the next song, there's a video ad that comes on as the new song is loading. That's an example of as tutorial ads. So, Chapter 8 just talking about social games that utilize social media, specifically the internet, where the community is already built in. Think of games on social media, and also a lot of your app games, such as Word with Friends or Draw Something. We'll discuss in class, and I'll see you then.